robots will be so developed that we won't know whether we're speaking with a human or a robot.
Technology has progressed, but it hasn't reached the level of being practical yet. But the hope is that it will be practical.
Rajeev J. Sebastian, a programmer turned entrepreneur, Mr. Rajeev J. Sebastian, the CEO of Allokin Software Private Limited. Rajeev is a highly accomplished technologist and engineer who has been a leader of the early open source contribution movement in Kerala. A forward thinker, Rajeev has established a talent building program named Cocoon in his company, which is a really good example of talent farming. So, welcome, Raj.
So yeah, I'm Rajeev. I'm CEO of Allokin Software. Techie. I'm going to talk a bit about obligatory AI stuff. I'm very pessimistic about all this AI. I don't think it's going to have the impact that the speakers before are having. Mainly because, and before I go any further, I'd like to ask all the people who are in management or HR, can you please stand up? Okay, thank you. And all the people who are not, like who are developers, can you please stand up? Developers. I assume that everybody else would be developers? No, so there are other people also who are not in management, HR, operations. So, okay, so about 70% people are in like operations. Very good. I was expecting that. The only reason I asked you to stand up is so that you can wake up. Something that AI cannot do. And, like techies, they are like, just like the AIs, you'll see that happening. They are in like echo chambers. Right now, they are generating things based on what human beings created. And the internet is going to be filled with junk. You see that in Stable Diffusion. You see that everywhere. And in a year, you're going to see that these AIs are going to start talking to each other and it's just going to produce more and more junk that we'll not even understand what is truth. I mean, we are in Donald Trump, he told us that we are in the post-truth era. And it's the techies are taking us there. The last people who are supposed to do that, they are taking us there. I'm very pessimistic about, it's not, and also it's like, it's not a joke either because we saw that in history, right? 1960s particle physics, where did it reach us? I mean, where is it? It's still stuck. 75 Nobel Prizes. Where are we? We are still stuck. Take AI, the huge dream of AI, 1970s. You can open the most fundamental book that everybody, I think, all developers who studied BTech engineering, IT, computer science, all of you have read Richard Knight. The first chapter talks about it. It's a failure. It is really a failure. Generative AI is not generative AI, it's just generative algorithms. It's not the AI that was dreamed of, that we see in the movies, and so on. So I don't want to talk more about AI. I just said that because I'm a techie. But I want to talk more about the human element. And that's the topic I was given, talent filters. And before that, see, I have a problem. I got to control it here on my iPad and over there too. So I'm from Allokin Software. We do R&D, we do product development, and we offer certain kind of services. This is my profile. You can link with me on LinkedIn. And whatever feedback you have on my talk, because some of the things that I say, I hope that it will create questions, both about AI, but largely about human beings. And I hope that the 70% of people here who are in HR management, in operations, you guys know human beings better than the techies do. And you can see where are those gaps. Amrit kind of alluded to some of those things. I think there's a lot of space for human beings. I don't think the BPO industry is going anywhere. I mean, you know what? I'll tell you, call customer support. Call customer support. That is not getting replaced by AI. Okay, I can give you some examples of that too. So, HR in the age of, I was supposed to talk about HR. So, HR in the age of, right? AI. I think, as I said, don't worry about it too much. You know, actually, you know what? You worry about it a little bit, because if what you guys are doing in your companies, if it can be replicated by a computer, then you're gone. You know, but that's not going to be too much. I'll tell you, even development, you're going to see a lot of junk. I ran, just as you showed the validate phone number, I just sat there and ran on chat GPT. I ran validate email address. It gave me a regex. Proper guys who know computer science here will know that the email address format cannot be fully validated by a regex. It is not capable of doing so. Regex can't do it. So it's going to give you wrong data, wrong information. And that's going to keep happening at scale. If you talk to your developers, they all validate email address with regex because they copied it from Stack Overflow. All that code is going to go in GitHub. And that's going to be read by the AIs. And they're going to spew that same stuff again and again. You're going to get low quality stuff. We are reaching singularity. I think Deepu is a singularity person, but that singularity is going to be filled with junk, garbage. You should all watch this movie called Idiocracy. Okay, very good movie. Talks about this stuff. But HR in the age of, right? So what is the role of HR? Some people think resources is a bad word. You know, people should not be considered as resources. I take a slightly different view. We are also in the age of the Bhaktan. In the age of the Bhaktan, we should consider our team members to be like this. We should feed them good food. No, I'm not joking. It looks like a joke, but it's not. We should maintain them. These team members, smart guys, again, Amrit alluded to the very smart people. They're like, I'm not joking. It's a fact. Every joke has got an element of truth, but this is a fundamental truth. We have to take care of people. And that is something that HR is missing. And, as these jobs, what is left are people with really great capabilities. And they are going to be considered like stones or hammers and all. But you should think about them like cows, actually. I mean, the cow was actually a very sacred, I eat cow, so it's not a thing. But it's considered as a sacred animal, right? Mainly because it produces sustenance for us. It produces milk, and if you want good milk, and whom are you giving the milk? You're giving it to your baby. You have to produce good things. You can see one Saip also, Badaba is like covering. They're taking care of us, dude. I mean, and leaders, you have to ensure that happens. They should not look at Indians as like, one of those sweatshops. And it's incumbent on management, HR to kind of. Even the politicians are now taking that thing, now forming unions and all that stuff. Why? There's a reason for it. It's a difficult thing, right? We should give them the necessary protection, mental support, right? But why? Because as companies, I think many of these people here from companies, it's because we should produce. And production of ideas, material, whatever, that is the basis of progress, basically. And when we produce, the nation and society grows. Why we produce? We produce things to make people houses and clothes and all that stuff, right? Fundamentally, that's what it is. And we've got to keep doing that. So HR is actually the engine of growth, is what I think. In the new age of AI or age of digital, it's been going on for a long time. And HR has to fundamentally rethink like what you guys do. I berate my HR people, in my company. Very sad, sorry to do that. But you have to think like what exactly you do and why. Why you got to do that? You got to do that for your team members, for the people in your company. You got to provide them better opportunities. You got to provide, provide more growth and profits to the company, and you need to provide progress to society. And for team members, what they need stability, happiness, and opportunity, right? And telling them that AI, your job is going to go away, it's not a good thing. And for companies, stable teams are very important. Many companies, in many companies, employment is now a revolving door. That's okay for certain types of companies, but if you want to have lasting progress for yourself, ethical behavior, you need to have stable teams. And that's very important to keep the bottom line too, because if you have a revolving door and your business is based on a revolving door, then you are basically wasting resources training people again and again and again. And instead of building up, you are just building the bottom layer again and again and again. So I think that's very important to think about what you're doing and why. And for progress to happen in society, this engine of production needs to keep moving forward more reliably, more predictably. Only then we can plan for the future. If you cannot plan, and that's, by the way, that is why China is so great today. It's not that they become industrialized. It's because when they were villages, a man thought, yes, I'm going to make something run for 50 years. That is why today they are the industry or the factory of the world. And if we need to start thinking, what are we going to do in 100 years? It's very nice to say make in India and all these things. Let me ask you something. Can we really build a semiconductor factory in India? High scale, build every chip for the iPhone. Is it possible? It's not possible, because to run a company like that, you need at least 1,000 people who have 20 years experience managing the shop floor of a highly integrated chip factory. Where are you going to get 1,000 or 2,000 people like that? They are all in China. They are all Chinese people. They are not in India. You cannot build a factory like that. Not realistically, right? Okay, automation, things like that will work, but training, how do you think training is going to do that? You cannot just take some guy off the street and train him to be a VLSI engineer. It's not possible. The guy needs experience. I'm going to come to my actual topic, which is talent filters. So as I said before, there are many aims like what we're trying to do. And I think selecting people is kind of essential to achieving those aims, whether it is for team members, for companies, or for society. If you have to select the right people. Now, these management HR guys, what they do, they'll select like the best person. Best person means overqualified. Having too less qualification is bad. Having too much qualification, even worse. The guy is going to get sad in your job. He's going to get unhappy. And he's going to leave. And you are too dependent on him. You have to get the right person for whom the challenge is just right. It's very difficult, but we have to do it. HR has the responsibility of selecting the exact right person, not above, not below. Helping them grow, and through that achieve the aims of the company and ultimately aims of the country as well. So I'm just going to give some food for thought. I don't have it like so well thought out. Like I just prepared this like a couple of days ago. So we'll start with tests and exams. My favorite topic. How many of you have studied in a semester system? Semester-based system. Okay. All of you graduated now? Okay. How many of you, when did you study for the exam of your semester? One day before, right? You got maybe 70, 75% marks, something around that. And there are other people in your class who studied the whole semester and they got 80%. So then what was the value of that exam? Law of diminishing returns. You studied only before, one day before, that's enough to pass the exam. Such exams are not what we call as a diagnostic test. That is a test that will tell whether you're this or that. Exams are worthless actually, if you really look about it, think about it. And many of the top universities no longer have exams. They have abandoned the concept of an exam. And what about the people who fail the exam? They are the Mandan Muralis, right? But almost all the HRs over here and even the techies will say, actually, the people who fail the exam, supplies, there are two types of people. People like this on the left, and the people on the right who are really good. Some of the best people I worked with had 20 supplies. What does that say about our tests and exams? And what does that say about companies who say, oh, you need minimum this much percent? How many people you're missing out? Oh yeah, of course you're going to lose these people on the left, but you're losing those people on the right. And those are the people who can bring fundamentally better productivity, better work output than the other people who got 75 plus. Fundamentally better. As I said, some of the best people I've worked with are all people who had supplies. In fact, we in Allokin, we actually have a separate section. Does he have a supply? If he has many supplies, the HR will do a small test, intelligence test. And if they pass that, then I myself interview them. That's how it works. Okay, and that involves going to TE and all that stuff. But just on the side, let me ask one question. This is the thing about tests. Then there is one big, huge company, organization, that is selected based on only test. And you can see the performance of that organization, which is none other than our government. Government is based on tests and nothing other than tests. These people write the test 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years in a row. The people who get in have no idea about reality. They only know about their desk and 300 books. But anyway, let me go to the next topic. The other tool that HR has to select the right person is job description. And I know ChatGPT is going to revolutionize job description. Because, all the job descriptions in all the companies are exactly the same. So HR people are going to type Python engineer 2 years. ChatGPT is going to come back with the exact JD, which is going to be the exact same for every company. Okay, my advice or my suggestion, not advice, suggestion. I don't know the right answer for this. How exactly to do this? Don't put useless stuff into the job description, right? Keep it very small. Everybody wants to have expert Python programmer who has excellent communication skills, capable of architecting high performance applications, 10 by 10 English, and only 1 year of experience. Select the right people for the job at each level of your company. Whether AI is there or not, HR has to do that. And this has to be for any field, right? Any job. Select the right people, not too much up, not too much down. Understand where they are in their career, how you're going to help them, which comes to the second. Next one is history. It's super important for you to understand history. And this is one place where government has completely abdicated their responsibility to society. They have made 10th standard, 12th standard results as completely useless for the purpose of understanding how what a person knows. Are they capable for a job or not? Completely useless. In the beginning of Allokin, we would say, drop the engineer's course. Actually, we would take like specific subjects like compiler design or something like that. Like few different subjects were there. We would just look at those courses. Even if everything else is a supply, those few subjects we would take and we'd see, okay, does this guy know anything? The other thing was we would require a high level of performance at the 10th and 12th level. Now that is meaningless. Everybody has A+. Totally useless. So the whole investment that society has made into the education system has been completely wiped out. Like it's not negative. We are not trying to like degrade people by giving them low score or something. That is where HR has to kind of talk to society and say, hey, what we are trying to do is we're trying to give you guys the right job. Right? We don't want to give difficult jobs to people who can't do it. And we don't want to give easy job to people who can do much better. We are trying to do the right job. And for that, it's better to kind of get evaluated by your teachers, by your colleges and so on. Look at the history of the people who are applying. I mean, we can't change government, that's a different thing, but look at the history of the people who are applying. And what are those demonstrable characteristics that you can take? And now see, some of that is liable to cheating. So sometime back, one of the things that HR people used to do, or they'd say, oh, does this guy have a GitHub repo? Okay, and they'll check. People with GitHub repo, at that time, people with GitHub repo actually started writing code and they were using Git for that purpose. Nowadays, what I'm seeing is that the GitHub repo is there. You can see the repositories. You open the repositories, there's nothing in there. No code. Sometimes it is template code. HR has to start getting a bit more smarter. Like, what is this guy trying to do? I would really recommend HRs to take a small course in programming. Not for programming's sake, but just to understand, like, because you will see the same code everywhere. And when you see it everywhere, this is not right. If all the HR and management in this room decide to not hire the people without demonstrable history, then automatically, you know what's going to happen? The whole of society, at least this industry, it will change. And to understand why that will happen, you just have to go through something called systems thinking. If you go through systems thinking, you'll understand why is it that if everybody here, or 75% of you, decide, just like GitHubs. When HR started looking at GitHub, people started creating GitHub. If you guys start demanding more, the students will also start producing more to get that job. Systems thinking. Compensation. You got to pay people. But then, one thing that HRs have to understand, and this also requires some design thinking, system thinking, because some of the actions of HR, and here I have only HR to blame, some of the actions of HR have led to untenable situations in our economy. Untenable. You have created a situation where either the base HR cost, that is cost of salaries, have to increase at least 10 to 30% every year, predictably and reliably. Or you have to lay off people to keep the cost the same. If you guys have some mathematical sense, you can just work it out in your head. Either the salary of the whole company has to increase by 30%, or we have to fire people who are making more or who are demanding more. And that is the reason for the layoffs. That is what happens. That's why there are cycles. It keeps on happening. He'll go up, hit that point, then lay off. Again, it'll go up. Who created it? Competition between HR. Because you guys think that money is the only thing that drives people. I don't know. Most of the HRs have studied, I hope, studied psychology. And you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Take those lessons. I'm very sure that people are open. They are not, people are intelligent, people are actually caring, especially the techie crowd. And when you try, if you can try to explain it to them, they're also very logical and rational as well. But they are also like people, they hear outside what's happening and they come and like they say the same thing. But if you can present it in a way that they can understand, they will also figure it out. There are many ways to compensate people, many, many, many ways. And almost none of it requires expenditure of money. By the way, on the side, I got to say, many companies, when people leave their company, they'll say, and I'm also kind of guilty of this, oh, ഞങ്ങൾ കുറേ training തന്നല്ലോ എന്നിട്ട് അവൻ പോയി. What training? What training? Let me tell you, these people, smart, especially smart people, wherever they go, they will learn. Wherever they will go, they will learn. There's nothing special that you guys are doing. There's nothing special. Come up with a special program. Give them a special program, and that's one way of compensating them. What's a possible solution? Again, this is all just food for thought, right? I'm not trying to prescribe anything here. I don't really know the solutions. We are in a new era of how things are going to settle down. I personally think the solution is something like this, Mulearn. I don't know how many of you know about Mulearn, but it's a very interesting movement that's happening in Kerala, which is trying to achieve some of these goals of creating a much more inclusive um, environment, uh, skilling up people, bringing them into some kind of a structure, which is economical but keeps people happy. And I would invite, like, I don't want to talk too much about Mulan, but I would invite all the companies to find out more about it and try to participate in it as well. And this will generally, it will raise the capabilities of our freshers and make it much more reasonable. The fact is that Mulan is doing something that the government should actually be doing. So one thing that you guys can do as HRs, as company leaders, if you have any kind of influence, help them to get funding and acceptance at the highest levels. Deepu may not like what I have to say. Where is Deepu? Deepu may not like what I have to say. He may not agree with it. But I feel that Mulan is having to do a lot of useless things just to keep that organization moving. If they could be freed from that, I think they can achieve quite a lot of things because fundamentally they're different from other stuff that's happening. And last message, just a repetition of what I just said. If you are a Bhaktan who has got some acceptance in politics, then I would like to show you this image. Mulan is nothing other than a Gurukulam. Nothing. It's from ancient India. It's a modern version of that. It's a modern version of the same thing, same concept. And if your political agenda or economic agenda, whatever, is to push ancient stuff, then you should think about supporting Mulan. So it's the same thing. You can see Akshay is standing in the middle and helping helping people. All right. So sorry for taking so long. I think I spoke for like more than 20 minutes. Just a conclusion. Basically, see, one thing I feel is that not just AI, but largely like past 20 years, we are seeing HR is changing. HR, you should not look at yourself as the department that produces the leave approval sheet, compensation sheet, PF, ESI, the name badges. You guys, HR and management, you are responsible for creating and maintaining the culture of a company and to maintain the dynamic productivity of the company. And that the only way to do that is really to see what is really required. Fundamentally what is required, what people want, and things that you should kind of redirect yourself to understanding what that is. Because also people are also changing. Like people are no longer cookie cutter people. People have their own dreams, inspirations with globalization, or they're seeing other models. And you will also have to be equally creative in order to keep your productivity. So thank you all for this. And remind you, I'm from Alokin, and this is my info. And I don't know if you guys saw all the QR codes. That goes to my LinkedIn. You can link with me there, and if you disagree, only if you disagree. If you agree, I don't want to hear from you. If you disagree, you chat with me. Thank you.